Millions of people drive Florida's highways every year. Interstate 95 runs the entire length of the East Coast from Jacksonville to Miami. The Florida Turnpike, Interstate 75, Interstate 10. Millions of people drive these routes every single year. Tourists heading to Disney World, snowbirds migrating south for the winter, truckers hauling freight between ports, families on road trips to the Keys. And along the way, they stop for gas. They pull off at exits. They stretch their legs, walk into a gas station, maybe grab a coffee or use the restroom. And in most places, that is completely fine. Florida is a big state, and the vast majority of it is safe and welcoming. But there are cities on these highways where locals will tell you to keep driving. You're where the gas station parking lot after dark is not somewhere you want to be standing around scrolling your phone. These are 10 of those cities. And the honest truth about which Florida towns have earned the reputation of being places where you fill up fast and get back on the road. Number 10. Palatka. Let us start in Northeast Florida. Palatka sits on the St. Johns River in Putnam County, about an hour south of Jacksonville, along Highway 17. Population around 10,000 people. The town looks peaceful enough from the highway. Old Florida charm. Spanish moss hanging from oak trees. A river running through the middle of it all. But the crime numbers tell a different story. The violent crime rate runs significantly above both state and national averages. Aggravated assault is the most commonly reported violent offense. Property crime, including theft and burglary, is persistent and concentrated around the commercial corridors near the highway. Putnam County has struggled with poverty for decades. The median household income is well below the Florida average. Job opportunities are thin. The opioid crisis hit this part of Florida particularly hard. Putnam County saw some of the highest overdose rates in the state during the peak of the epidemic, and the ripple effects are still being felt in crime statistics and strained services. For travelers, the risk concentrates around the gas stations and fast food spots near the highway exits. During the day, it is generally fine. But after dark, the calculus changes. Fewer people around, less visibility, and a police department stretched thin trying to cover a community with deep economic challenges. If you are driving Highway 17 and need gas around Palatka, locals will tell you to keep going south to Ormond Beach or north toward Green Cove Springs. That extra 15 minutes of driving is a trade most people who know the area make without a second thought. Guy, please. Hit like and subscribe because it really helps us to reach more Florida people. Number 9. Panama City. Now let us head to the Panhandle. Panama City sits on Highway 98, connected to Interstate 10 via Highway 231. Population around 35,000. Most people know Panama City for spring break. Every March, tens of thousands of college students flood in, turning it into one of the biggest party destinations in the country. But Panama City, the actual city, not the beach strip, has a year-round crime problem that the spring break headlines overshadow. The violent crime rate has historically been one of the highest per capita in the state. Drug crime linked to economic depression is a consistent driver. When the spring breakers leave, the underlying economy is thin. The city has pockets of genuine poverty that have persisted for decades. Property crime spikes seasonally. Theft, rental scams, and car break-ins are common during peak season, but even outside spring break, the numbers stay elevated. Hurricane Michael in 2018 devastated the area. Category 5 winds destroyed thousands of homes and businesses. The recovery has been slow. Abandoned structures damaged by the hurricane and never repaired have become hotspots for criminal activity and drug use. For travelers, the gas stations along main corridors are generally fine during daylight. But the neighborhoods along Highway 231 heading north have a different feel after dark. If you are passing through, the beachside commercial areas are typically safer than the inland corridors. More lighting, more people, more cameras. Number 8. Lake Park. Moving to Palm Beach County, we find Lake Park. Population just under 9,000. It sits about 15 minutes north of West Palm Beach, right off Interstate 95. A lot of people pull off here without realizing they have entered one of the most statistically dangerous small towns in Florida. The overall crime rate is roughly 300% above the national average. The property crime rate is the second highest in the entire state. Vehicle theft, break-ins, and larceny dominate the police reports. The murder rate ranked 6th highest in Florida in recent reporting. So for a town of fewer than 9,000 people, those numbers are staggering. Lake Park is sandwiched between the wealthy communities of Palm Beach Gardens to the north and the affluent island of Palm Beach to the east. You can drive from multi-million-dollar homes into Lake Park in under 10 minutes, and the change is immediate and visible. For Interstate 95 travelers, the gas stations near the off-ramps are where most property crime concentrates. During the day, these stops look normal. Chain gas stations, fast food, nothing that screams danger. But the numbers say otherwise. Locals recommend continuing south to Palm Beach Gardens or north to Jupiter. Both are minutes away, and the difference in safety statistics is dramatic. Number 7. Mangonia Park. Just south of Lake Park, still in Palm Beach County, sits Mangonia Park. Population barely 2,200. The overall crime rate is over 6,100 per 100,000 residents. Drug trafficking is identified as a primary driver. The town sits close to major transportation routes, making it convenient for distribution networks. Over 20% of the population lives below the poverty line, significantly higher than the national average of 12.4%. Mangonia Park is the kind of place most people have never heard of. It does not make national news. It exists in the shadow of West Palm Beach, invisible to the millions who drive through every year. The police resources available to a town of 2,200 are fundamentally limited. Coverage is thin. Response times can be slow. And the crime that flows through does not respect municipal boundaries. The advice from residents is simple. Do not stop unless you have to. And if you have to, make it quick. Number 6. Cocoa. Now to Florida's Space Coast. Cocoa sits between Orlando and Cape Canaveral. Population around 19,000. You would think proximity to the Kennedy Space Center would bring prosperity. Parts of the area benefit. But Cocoa itself has a violent crime rate of 1,108 per 100,000 residents, well above state and national averages. Burglaries and aggravated assaults are the most commonly reported offenses. The commercial strip along Highway 1 has gas stations and strip malls where crime concentrates. Economic hardship is the primary driver. The wealth generated by Cape Canaveral has not distributed evenly. Parts of Cocoa feel disconnected from the prosperity happening a few miles east. Housing stock is aging. Vacancy rates are elevated. The Cocoa Police Department reported a 14% drop in violent crime in the first half of 2024. That is real progress. But 14% down from very high still leaves you at high. If you are on I-95 and need gas, the exits for Merritt Island or Rockledge are close by, and the safety profile is markedly different. People who live in the area already know this. Number 5. Opa-locka. Heading into Miami-Dade County, we arrive at Opa-locka. Population around 16,000. Known for its unique Arabian Nights-themed architecture from a 1920s developer obsessed with 1001 Nights, and for crime statistics among the worst in South Florida. Gang activity has been documented for years. Property crime is persistent around commercial corridors. What makes Opa-locka particularly concerning is the number of abandoned buildings. Empty structures dot the city. Remnants of businesses and homes left behind as the economy contracted. These abandoned properties become magnets for criminal activity. Squatting, drug manufacturing, vandalism. Opa-locka is physically close to some of the wealthiest neighborhoods in America. Miami Beach is 20 miles away, Coral Gables even closer. But the economic reality inside Opa-locka is a world apart. The poverty rate is among the highest in the county. Infrastructure is aging. For drivers navigating northern Miami-Dade, the Arabian Nights architecture is genuinely interesting during the day. After dark, the advice from residents is consistent. Keep moving. Number 4. Riviera Beach. Still in Palm Beach County. Population about 35,000, with a waterfront location that should make it one of the most desirable addresses in South Florida. The marina is beautiful. Views across the intracoastal toward Palm Beach are stunning. But Riviera Beach has the highest murder rate in the state of Florida, 7 times higher than the national average. The violent crime rate is 943 per 100,000 residents. The geographic divide is stark. The waterfront caters to wealthy boat owners. Drive a few blocks inland and income levels drop dramatically. Poverty in the inland neighborhoods is high. Economic opportunity is limited. And the violence shows up in the data every single year. The contrast between the waterfront and the inland neighborhoods is the kind of thing you have to see to understand. Two completely different realities separated by a few blocks. For travelers, stick to well-lit commercial corridors and do not wander into unfamiliar residential areas, especially after dark. Number 3. Lake City, North Central Florida. Lake City sits right on Interstate 75 about an hour west of Jacksonville. Population around 12,300. It looks like a typical small Florida town from the highway. Fast food signs, gas station canopies, the standard interstate exit landscape. But Lake City has the highest overall crime rate per capita of any city in Florida. The violent crime rate is 1,547 per 100,000 residents, nearly 4 times the national average. Almost 30% of residents live below the poverty line. The city sits on Interstate 75, which is one of the major drug trafficking corridors running from South Florida through Georgia into the broader Southeast. That geographic positioning funnels criminal activity through a community too small to manage it. Recent incidents have intensified concerns. A mass shooting at Annie Maddox Park made headlines. A shooting inside a fast food restaurant shocked the community. These are symptoms of deep economic distress. For I-75 travelers, Lake City is a natural gas stop at the intersection with Highway 90. During the day, these stops are busy and generally safe. After dark, the dynamic shifts. The exits for Alachua or Lake Butler are alternatives locals recommend. Not because Lake City is a war zone, but because the statistics suggest meaningfully higher risk, and the difference is just a few more miles down the road. Number 2. Belle Glade. Deep in Palm Beach County, about 40 miles inland from the coast, sits Belle Glade. Population around 16,800. Known locally as Muck City because of the rich black soil surrounding it in the sugarcane fields of the Everglades agricultural area. Belle Glade is one of the most economically depressed communities in Florida. The violent crime rate is 1,310 per 100,000 residents, making it the second most dangerous city in the state. Murder, aggravated assault, and robbery rates are all dramatically above national averages. The poverty is staggering. Belle Glade sits surrounded by some of the most productive agricultural land in the country, but the wealth generated by that agriculture has never reached the people who live in the town. The sugarcane industry employs seasonal workers among the lowest paid in America. Housing stock is old and often substandard. Belle Glade is not on any major interstate. It sits on Highway 441 and Highway 80, but people do pass through. Agricultural workers, truckers, travelers cutting across coasts. The gas stations serve a necessary function because the next station might be 30 miles away. The advice from people who know the area is to be aware of where you are. Stay in well-lit areas. Do not leave your vehicle unattended longer than necessary. The gap between Belle Glade and the wealthy coastal communities 40 miles east is one of the starkest economic divides in the entire United States. Number 1. Florida City. And here it is. The most dangerous small city in the state. Florida City sits at the southern tip of the mainland, right where Highway 1 heads toward the Florida Keys. Population around 12,400. If you are driving to the Keys, you will almost certainly pass through here. It is the last real town before the overseas highway begins its island-hopping journey to Key West. And it is statistically the most dangerous place in the entire state. The violent crime rate is 2,290 per 100,000 residents, the highest in Florida. The property crime rate is 8,013 per 100,000, also the highest. 8 murders in a single year in a city of just 12,400 people. Your chances of being a violent crime victim are 1 in 43. Florida City is one of the carjacking capitals of America. The combination of Highway 1 traffic, proximity to the Everglades, which provides escape routes, and economic desperation creates an environment where vehicle theft and carjacking are regular occurrences. The gas stations along Highway 1 serve hundreds of thousands of tourists every year who are excited about the Keys and have no idea about the crime statistics of the town they are stopping in. During the day, the sheer number of people provides safety. But late at night when tourist traffic thins out and parking lots empty, that is when Florida City earns its #1 ranking. Locals and frequent Keys travelers know the routine. Fill up in Homestead a few miles north, or wait for Key Largo 20 miles south on Highway 1. Do not stop in Florida City after dark unless you absolutely must. And if you do, doors locked, eyes up, in and out. Florida City is the gateway to paradise. The Keys are right there, the water is turquoise, the sunsets are legendary, but the last town before paradise has the highest crime rate in the Sunshine State. And that contrast between where you are going and where you are standing is what makes Florida City the most unsettling gas stop in Florida. 10 cities all on major Florida highways. All places where millions of people stop every year without knowing the statistics. Most gas stops in Florida are completely fine. The state is enormous, and the vast majority of it is safe. But these 10 cities are the exceptions, and the difference between pulling off at the wrong exit versus driving 10 more minutes to the next one can be significant. The pattern across all 10 is the same. Concentrated poverty, limited economic opportunity, understaffed police departments, geographic positioning on major corridors that funnel traffic through communities that are struggling. These are not bad places because the people who live there are bad. These are places where decades of economic neglect, policy failures, and structural disadvantage have created conditions where crime thrives. The residents of these towns deserve better infrastructure, better services, better opportunity, and a fair shot at the kind of safety that wealthier communities take for granted. But until those systemic issues are addressed, the practical advice stays the same. Stay aware. Keep your doors locked at the pump. Do not leave anything visible in your car. And if the parking lot feels off, trust that feeling and keep driving. The next exit is only a few minutes away. If you found this video useful, make sure to subscribe because we have a lot more coming your way. Let me know in the comments if you have ever had an experience at a Florida gas stop that made you think twice. See you in the next one.